Manifesting that this message finds the right collective in divine time. If you're new here, my name is Michelle. Welcome to my channel. Excited to chat with you a little bit about a divine download that I have been receiving. I have my cards here too. We'll pull some if I feel called, but wanted to kind of start it out with more of a conversation of something that has been coming up a lot for me. And I trust if you are aligned to my energy, these themes may be coming up for you as well. So I have been receiving this energy of, first of all, a manifestation that is returning, like a past wish, which I did a small reading on earlier today, if you saw that. But other than that, I've also been receiving this energy of, and the idea around like manifesting in stages, in phases. And this is something that has really helped me, I feel like, on my manifestation journey as I've been connecting deeper with the divine and trying to figure out my purpose and how I can see it come to fruition. I think a lot of the times we see manifestation as like only like these big goals and aspirations. And then it kind of turns into like a sour and bitter journey when we're not seeing the actualization of these big goals and manifestations come to fruition when we think that they should, or we're like not really seeing how it's going to come into fruition. And so something that I have really like learned to adjust through my very messy manifestation journey that I'm like starting to hone in on now is that it's okay to do this in phases while still having the sight and the vision for that big goal. For example, I remember when I first thought to put myself out there in any capacity, I was doing healing work. Actually back before that, I specifically felt called to be a healer. I felt that, that call, that soul burning, fire that was like, you're here to help others. You're meant to be a healer. I literally heard the voice that said, we need you. And I got so excited. I was like, oh my God, I've been like handpicked by the divine. How am I going to see this to fruition? I had no idea what this even looked like. I explored things like Reiki. That was my first introduction to energy healing, which I, did some like Reiki healing circles. I learned shamanism. I was trying to figure out like what kind of healer I was. And so I kept trying all of these different modalities, trying to force one to fit. And then I felt called to sharing my voice. And so I started a podcast. And when I started the podcast, I was like, okay, this is a great way for me to share some of my story, to resonate with other people. I've always been somebody who likes to give advice. Maybe that's my thing, right? But with the podcast, which I do hope and plan to bring back once I have more capacity to do like editing and get episodes out again, through my journey of the podcast, though, I recognized that it actually stemmed from a subconscious fear and blockage of the fear of being seen. Because when I first started it, literally my intention was, well, at least I don't have to show my face. At least I can just talk and, people listen to it and they like it or they don't, but I don't have to like go on camera. I don't have to, show my face. I don't have to be scrutinized for how I, look or any of that stuff. And so as I've gone through this journey of trying to be, a soul-led spiritual entrepreneur, it's gone a lot of different directions. And I have shared on my podcast, I've shared before that when I was working corporate jobs, I actually manifested myself out of 2 corporate jobs back to back. I manifested myself getting laid off. It came as a surprise to everybody except for me because I had fully intended to do that. And I remember the last layoff that I had, I was set. I was like, okay, this is my chance from the universe to just dive all the way in, go full on into my dream of being a spiritual leader, entrepreneur. Didn't really know like what to label it as. I just knew I wanted to do the spirit-led work full time. And during that time, I went through so many lessons. So many wounds were again coming up to the surface, and I was trying to be a healer from what I thought a healer needed to look like versus what felt natural to me and who I am just like as an authentic version of myself, right? Like sharing my gifts. It was very watered down. It was very much like, this is the healer Michelle, and this is something I've talked about before. I had like a persona, was kind of like, this is the healer Michelle. She's very soft. She's very, earthy and all of these things. And then there's the real Michelle where when I'm talking to friends or family, it's like a very different type of person. And so there was this separation that I didn't really like. And through this journey over the past year and a half, especially since I've started posting my intuitive messages, I have brought those closer together. Okay. And I've started to show up more authentically. I've started to trust in my gifts more. I've started to trust in the process and knowing that everything has been preparation leading me to, again, this goal of being an established, successful, spiritual entrepreneur. But it looked very different along the way. And because I didn't make it successful during the time that I was laid off, I was unemployed for an extended amount of time because I was like all in trying to make it work. It didn't work. It did not work. I barely brought in any sales. I didn't see any real success with that. It was very minimal as far as any traction that I was seeing. And there was part of me that felt like a failure. Okay. And again, I'm sharing all of this because I'm hoping that you're reflecting on parts of your journey that mirror this experience, right? I felt like a bit of a failure, but I knew that I was selected to do this work. And so I think I just needed to approach it differently. And so once I started to really like catch my bearings on how I can show up authentically in this space, how I can still be myself while also being a healer, while also supporting others on their spiritual journey, I was already at the end of my financial support, okay, like way over. And so I've shared this as well, where it's like I went through a lot of really deep money wounds and lessons that I'm just starting to like get myself out of. But with that time, I was forced back into the corporate world because I needed to support my family. I couldn't find any other way. There wasn't money coming in for my business, but I never gave up. Okay. I kept the vision alive. I kept moving towards that goal, but it looked different than how it looked when I thought it was time for me to do that or how it originated. It changed and shifted a lot. And so I, got back into corporate. I ended up taking on like an extremely toxic job. Then I had a opportunity that I thought was like a dream opportunity. Again, something I felt like I manifested because it was like start to finish exactly what I had in my mind as far as a formal opportunity. And it got dangled in front of me and then taken away because this person didn't actually have any financial backing to provide me. It was more of just like talk. Okay. And so again, I've been through a lot of grief. I've been through a lot of redirection, but my vision, my goal, my main manifestation has always been in place. So I feel like that's resonant for this collective where it's like, you've either heard the call, you've felt it deep within your soul that you are meant to do something big. You are meant to make an impact in this world. But there's been a lot of trial and error in how you're seeing that come to fruition. And a lot of that has also been reflecting to you certain pain points on your journey, right? Fears, trauma, anxieties that you hold from your past that are actually blocking you from moving forward. And so if you are aligned and you feel like you have kind of done a lot of this like cleanup around what could be blocking you, you're starting to show up more authentically, you've started to like angle your approach to your projects differently from this space of authenticity and also like releasing the shackles of the past, of your toxic attachments, okay, codependent behaviors that you fall into, or again, this like toxic attachment to your own fears and limiting beliefs, right? Trust that things are going to start moving a lot quicker and things are going to start formulating for you. And I feel like I'm really at this place where I do see the vision. Okay, I'm starting to see that success. I'm starting to see the traction, but I still don't quite know like how this is exactly going to formulate. I feel I'm on the brink of being full-time in this work, but again, I don't fully know the when and I don't know the how. I don't know if this is going to be from like somebody who wants to invest in me or it's just going to be from me receiving, an influx of orders that gives me the push to finally just do it full time, right? So there's still that little bit of flexibility that I'm leaving open for the divine to fill in. But I feel like if, again, you're aligned to this energy and you're feeling this, I just want to remind you that it's okay to manifest in stages and allow things to give you some sort of security and stability. Because when I was at the depths of my journey, again, going negative every day, overdrafting every day, never having enough to pay my bills, always having to constantly ask or borrow or take out of accounts that shouldn't, going way, way, way deep into the negative. When I was going through all of that, my priority was financial stability. Okay, I needed to manifest just a baseline so that then I could regulate myself to then ask for more, right? Because it's really hard to call in huge manifestations and wishes when we're unregulated, when we're deep in survival mode, right? So I just want to encourage you, like if you have a big vision and a big dream, but you're in a place of total survival mode, it's okay to first manifest getting out of survival mode, still having the vision, still holding and maintaining that big goal, that big dream, that big manifestation, knowing that it absolutely is possible. But maybe you take some of your energy and your intention away from trying to manifest just that big thing, because then you end up checking every day or like, oh, it's still not here. Okay, I haven't won that lump sum of money. Okay, I haven't gotten that huge success in followers or sales or anything like that. Like you're checking everywhere, trying to confirm what it is that you're feeling, and it's not coming in. And then that actually lowers your vibration, lowers your frequency, makes it harder for you to call in positive change, right? So it's okay to manifest yourself to that level of survival mode, because when I was in the depths of my debt, I was like, okay, I just need a job. Like, give me a job. I need stability. I need to be receiving regular payments. I need to be able to pay my bills. I got that. It was tied with a lot of lessons, again, around standing up for myself. It was a very toxic environment. Okay, once I realized and identified that I was being taught something and that I had to overcome that, once I overcame those challenges, next thing was, I need to manifest myself out of this job. I literally asked the universe. I remember very clearly, I was like crying, so upset. I was like, I can't believe I'm in this type of environment again. Like I really thought I was gonna make my dream happen, and here I am. But again, this was all molding me and forming me into the version that I am today and the version that I'm still constantly becoming. But I literally prayed out and I set an intention. I said, okay, I don't care. I know that the success is coming. I know that I will be successful in the space that you've asked me to be, to follow. What I need immediately though is a job that pays me more for working less. The next day, literally got a call from a friend who was like, hey, I have this job at my place of work. Like, would you be interested? It's very different from what you've done. Ended up being literally exactly that. It paid me slightly above what I was currently making at my last job, and way less work, way less stress, which is why, because I still have that job, I've been able to still, be regular on putting out content, getting readings done, those types of things between my workday, because it's been a lot less stress. So now I'm at a place where now I feel, because I'm at a baseline, because I feel stable, safe within my body to receive more, I can now manifest myself out of corporate altogether and actually be full-time in my passion-led work. So I hope that that makes sense and that this is valuable to somebody out there, because I feel like, again, when I first went into manifesting, I was like, okay, like I hear the call, I'm gonna be a spiritual entrepreneur, I'm gonna, be a healer. I went in so blind, I didn't know. I thought I was ready for years that I wasn't actually ready. And now I feel that I am ready, okay? Because I had to go through those stages, and I also had to get myself to a comfortable baseline where I could call in more, where I could allow for more positive change, because I was recognizing the change that was coming in. I have so much gratitude for the fact that I got out of this toxic job. I have so much gratitude for the fact that I'm in a position where I can do both. And now that I have that gratitude and I feel like I've reached a certain level, now I'm ready for the next step. So I just want to encourage you, if you are on your manifestation journey and you've been like actively working at something or actively trying to see something come to fruition, like you can zoom out or zoom in, like depending on where you're at. Maybe it needs to be something more specific that you need to ask for, or that you need to set your energy towards, or it needs to, again, just be like, just get me to this baseline, and then from there I can ask for more, and then from there I can ask for more. And again, this is going to look different for everybody. I come from a background of like severe trauma, PTSD. It's really hard for my body to regulate to like huge, massive positive change. And so I think that's why manifesting in stages has worked so well for me, because again, it's just a focus of like getting out of survival mode. And then once I can breathe, it's like, now I'm ready to take on more, right? So for me, with my background, with what I've dealt with throughout my life, it was really hard for my subconscious and for my body to accept going from total survival mode to like full-time, millionaire, spiritual entrepreneur, success, whatever it is, right? So I think that's where I'm at on my journey. And I do feel like I'm on the brink of another breakthrough, which I've been sharing. I do like to share these things with you so that you're like seeing it live time, what that looks like. But this is just a revelation that I've been coming to terms with that I feel like will be helpful for somebody who feels still like they want to see that positive change. And I think manifesting in stages allows you that gratification a little bit quicker, because it's something that is more easily accessible, where once you call it in, you're like, oh, yeah, I knew that. I'm like a master manifester. I knew I could do that. Okay, what's next, right? Okay, what's next? And so I just want to encourage you, like, you don't always have to do it in like the big, grand, huge scale. It could be something tangible. It could be that first next step that you need to take in order to continue pushing the energy forward, so that you can eventually be plopped into a completely new reality that again took time, took stages, but is formulating nonetheless. So just wanted to share that with you. I guess we're not going to do cards today. Sorry if you were expecting that, but I love you and I'm sending you so much love and I can't wait to share again in another message. Bye.